Boys and girls, this week your reading, writing, and science will all be connected, and you're going to use some of the skills that you learned when you were writing your expert book and practice them this week. So I'm going to start, of course, by sharing my screen with you and tell you all about this project. Habitats, animals in their natural environment. You're going to read about lots of different habitats this week and jot notes about the important information that you learn. You're going to name the habitat, find out where it is located, on which continents or in which countries. Describe that environment. How does the habitat fit the needs of the animals that live there? Does it provide food, water, shelter, and protection? What is the climate like? Think about the land, water, the type of plants and animals that can survive in this environment. So those are all the things you're going to be reading and taking notes about. So you want to jot a few of them down, the important things, just to help you remember. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, practice the skills you learned while writing your expert book by reading about different habitats and making notes of the important information you notice while you're reading. And don't forget to check out those text features like the boldface words, text boxes, or diagrams. You know there's a lot of interesting information in those places as well. You will use this information on Thursday and Friday to complete a STEAM activity about an animal and the habitat in which it lives. And STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And you're going to combine all those different areas in that project you're doing on Thursday and Friday. So read about the habitats that interest you the most. And check out some of these habitats you can explore. And the forest they're showing here on the left is the woodland forest. You can read about rainforests. You could check out deserts or grasslands, mountainous areas or oceans, the North and South Pole or the frozen tundra. You might want to check out the prairie or learn more about coastlines. And I just did a few examples of some notes here. So if I was really interested in a rabbit, also called a hare, I would find out, oh, its habitat is a woodland forest. So I made sure I found out some information about the animal, the rabbit, its habitat, diet, some special features or adaptation, like its eyes can rotate around to the back, so it doesn't even have to turn around to see what's behind them. And then I also researched some interesting things about the woodland forest, like the description, it's home to many animals, the trees are what provide some food, not only homes, but climbers might be able to climb those trees and escape from predators, not just find their food. And even the dead trees are home for animals and insects. So I want to make sure I have some important information written down about both my animal and the habitat in which it lives. You might want to read on Mayon, Epic, RazKids, or even Pebble Go this week and read about these different habitats. Just enter the word habitats or the name of the habitat that interests you the most in the search box. And don't forget to jot down some quick notes about the important features you noticed. Choose one of these habitats for your STEAM project. Then choose an animal from that habitat to plan and create the model. You could do it the other way too. If you have an animal already in mind, if you have a favorite animal, you might want to research that one and then really research the habitat in which it lives. If you did your expert book on an animal, for example, a gorilla or a hawk, then I would pick something different. Try something new this week. And the following slides give a little bit more information for you. You're going to plan and design a model. You are going to be a landscape architect. Mr. Madden has asked that the second graders create models of possible areas for different animals at the new Cottage Street School Zoo. Here's your problem. To create a model of a habitat for an animal of your choice to present to Mr. Madden. The habitat must meet the needs of the animal so it can survive and live happily in its new environment. And here's the criteria, or the things you need to think about including. It must be the right temperature. So anything you put in the model has to be able to survive at the temperature that you're creating. For example, if you pick the North Pole, you're not going to be putting some beautiful flowers that would be growing in your backyard right now, of course. Make sure your animal will be comfortable. Consider any other special needs of that animal. Your model must reflect the natural habitat for that animal. It has to feel like it's living in the wild. You need to provide a safe habitat for your animal and have an environment that allows the animal to move the way they do in nature. And what I mean by that is they have to have enough space to move around freely, not feel like they're trapped in a cage. And before you do anything, sketch out a design or plan for that habitat. You might want to talk it out with somebody at home and then use some scrap paper and make your design model. Make sure you include any of the new information you learned while reading this week, along with the criteria mentioned above. Here are some materials that you might want to use, and it says shoebox first. So when you create a scene in a shoebox, that is called a diorama. You can use any kind of box or plastic container to create your model in. You might want to use things like cotton, construction paper, sand, rocks or sticks, string, yarn, leaves, pipe cleaners, or even craft sticks. Maybe you want to create something using Play-Doh or clay. That's also good to hold something up. So if you had a little Play-Doh on the bottom of the model, and then you could stick a tree in it and hold it upright. And that's a link to make your own Play-Doh or clay. You might want to use recycled materials or fabric. Honestly, anything from around the house or your yard that will work for your plan will be just fine. Then once you've gathered your materials, it's time to create. So using the materials you find and your plan, create a model of the habitat where your animal will live at Mr. Madden's Cottage Street School Zoo. Then I wrote improve. When you feel you are done, take a moment to stop and think about a way you could improve your model before submitting it to Mr. Madden. Are there any finishing touches you should add? So here's some things you could think about. When you're done, ask yourself, does this habitat model meet the needs of my animal? Will it survive and thrive? And thrive is kind of the key word here. That means it's going to live really well. It's going to be strong and healthy and happy. So anything extra you could do to help it thrive, you should include. For example, if my animal climbs, I want to provide opportunities for it to climb, but also to get exercise and even play. Be creative and have some fun. You could think, well, maybe a polar bear would enjoy a swimming pool, or a chimpanzee would love to go zip lining across from tree to tree. So you can add all of those things in before you submit it to us. Your assignment is due Friday. Be a creative landscape architect. You will be able to share your things on Seesaw. You can take a picture of it and upload it, and we'll also try and see if Mr. Madden, and there's really not going to be a Cottage Street School Zoo, but we're kind of just pretending that to create your STEAM activity. But I would love to be able to share your ideas with Mr. Madden, and I know Mrs. Meisner and Mrs. Shea would as well.